tornado outbreaks in central Illinois history. Locally, we had about a dozen tornadoes, with 2 tornadoes that reached EF3 strength. One was north of Tuscola to near Villa Grove, and the other tracked right through the city of Gifford. This tornado had winds of 140 miles an hour, and it was on the ground for nearly 30 miles and destroyed 30 homes. One home belonged to the Panbacker family, who never could imagine what was about to happen.
Before, I don't think it was ever a possibility for me. You know, tornadoes happen to other people.
But it would happen, and their lives would change. Luckily, they were not home at the time and happened to be out of town at an early family Thanksgiving. Adam, who also works for the Gifford Fire Department, got a phone call.
They said that the town of Gifford had been hit. So then I came to town, walked down the road, I turned the corner. We lived on a dead-end street. When I turned the corner, I couldn't see anything. There was no house. My actual neighbor's house from across the street was in the road and in our yard. So I walked up, and the gas line for our house is shooting gas out of the ground like many other houses in town. And the water line was shooting water, and everything that was ours was strewn across the yard. I mean, I could see our bed, my son's bed, our furniture, stuff like that. It was just all rolled out in that yard.
Katie, who at the time had no idea how bad things were, got a call from Adam.
I was trying to remain positive until, he called me and said, "I can't find the dog. We're looking, but I can't find the dog." And at that point, I knew it was really bad.
And when Katie finally arrived, she couldn't believe her eyes.
And I just remember letting out like this giant scream. I know his aunt's like, she's never heard something like that before. And I think it was just like despair, overwhelming. Like it was just a lot of emotions all at once. We found a few things, but eventually it had to be thrown away anyway because it was covered and insulation just wasn't salvageable. Wedding photos, everything, Everything was gone.
But the one thing they wanted to desperately find was their 6-month-old boxer puppy, Cooper.
6 months before we got before the tornado, we just got that puppy because we put our other dog down. And he was the best friend to our son. I didn't know how we were going to explain that to at that time our son was 3. How are you going to explain now this other dog is gone too?
It had been in a crate in one of the bedrooms, and so we were digging through. And I didn't have much, I wasn't very positive on what the outcome was going to be. So we dug through for probably 4 hours, I think. And then about 4 hours in, I was sitting next to the pile that is the neighbor's house, and the dog comes out of a hole out of their house and looks at us, and I yell at him, and he runs back into the hole.
He tells the story otherwise. He thinks he called for the dog and the dog popped his head out. I think that I called for the dog because he'd already been looking for him for hours.
And so I followed him, and the hole actually went through their house, through their floor, and he was sitting in their crawl space. And so we pulled him out, and to this day, he's still with us. He's 10 and a half years old now. He has a small scar on his chest from whatever, but we never found the crate that he was in, anything. We don't know. We dug all through their house and everything in the yard, and yeah. So he somehow managed to get out of a locked crate and was blown into the neighbor's house.
The neighbors across the street took a picture, and as we found him and pulled him out, and it was just a really sweet moment. Something good coming out of something so bad.
While they had to rebuild from scratch, the Panbacker family knows what's most important.
Things can be replaced. People can't. Loved ones can't. And so we realized that after going through that, things are things.